Welcome back everybody to the Sprinkler channel. Today we're going to be talking about sprinkler wiring and everything there is to know about the sprinkler wiring, so that way you can easily and efficiently wire up your sprinklers and know how to use the right sprinkler wire. So first of all, we have here just a multi-strand sprinkler wire. You can see all the different colors that will come with your sprinkler wire, and depending on how many strands you have. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about is, the first question you might be asking yourself, how many strands of wire do I actually need for my sprinkler system? That's going to largely depend on how many zones you have. Basically, the short answer is you need how many ever zones you have plus one. And I say plus one because the white strand is the common wire that you're going to want to have go to basically every valve and then back to the sprinkler clock as well. With this one, we have a total of 6 colored ones plus the white, all right, plus the common. So this would be a 7-strand wire. Okay, so if they ask you, if you go into the store and you're like, how many strands do I need? I have 6 zones, then you'll need a 7-strand wire. Okay, just like this, you'll see all the different colors, and the more strands there are, the more colors there'll be, and vice versa. But you want to make sure you have at least that many. I usually like to get an extra 1, maybe 2 extra wires in there, so that way if I ever add an extra zone or a water feature or a planter bed for gardening, then I can have that wire already there ready to plug into the clock and have a brand new separate zone to work with. Okay, so here's the next thing is, when you're unsheathing this, the easiest way is probably going to be, if you can't get a hold of this little horsehair strand that you kind of see right there, I'll show you here in a second, then you'll want to cut a little slit in it just using a little X-Acto knife. And usually I like to just put it out just a little bit so I don't cut into the actual copper wires, and then I'll just slide it down like that to make a little slit in there, and then hopefully you can just get to this little white like horsehair strand thing right here, because most people might not know this, is as soon as you can grab onto that and have a good enough grip, then that will slice through this outer sheathing to open it up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So you just hold on to this strand right here with a good grip, and then pull down, and it will slice through that outer sheathing. Okay, and you can open it up however much you need it to be. All right, so we'll just go to there for now. I've already kind of used these wire strippers to cut a little part into the sheathing like that. And so that way all we have to do now is just pull it off. Comes off easily like that. So there's all our strands like that. Okay, we can spread them out. Here's all the different strands. So like I said, we have one for the common one that will go to each one of the valves, and then we have specific ones for each one of the valves that we have. So in this case, we could power up to 6 different zones or valves, and sometimes referred to as stations. So we could have 6 stations, then we have our common one that goes to each station and goes back to the clock, as well as all these. So with that, then we'll want to go ahead and strip these wire tips, like so. This will be how it looks like before, and then you'll just want to strip the insulation off of them just a little bit like that, get it ready to connect into the clock. And then I left out 2 of them, so if you only had, in this case, 4 zones, then we can just tuck these ones back away like that, and we'll just use these 4 ones, and we'll wire these ones up to the clock. All right, so let's look at how we wire it to the clock now. Here's an example of the clock. I'm going to go ahead and open this up here. I'm just going to go ahead, for ease of access, I'm going to go ahead, here's some tricks. You can take off the front cover on this Pro C, and that way we can get that out of the way as well. Okay, and then we want to open up the front of the clock here on the side, and we're going to open that up. And then also for easeability, I'm just going to take off the front of it with this release hatch, undoing the cables, and then I can put this over to the side. So now I'm just left with the back side or the back end of the sprinkler clock. So make sure if yours is plugged in with this Pro C, it has a way of just turning off this, so your sprinkler zones will only get power if this is on, so don't forget that. But if I'm going to be connecting some new ones, I'll just turn it off. And then right now this comes standard with 4 zones, okay? So that's what you see right there. And then over here you can see that this says COM, and that stands for the common wire, okay? Don't mix it up with this one, the main valve one. So we have the main valve one, and then 1, 2, 3 as it's labeled right here, okay? But this is your common one. This is where we're going to connect the white wire to. If we had rain sensors or other sensors, we have slots right here for those sensors. And this wire going up here is just the power one that's going to go and plug into the wall, okay? So down here below, we already have the punch hole. The wire is going to come up into here, and we're going to connect it into there. We already have the wires here. We're going to slide them through the hole right there, and then with a Phillips head, we'll just back these screws out just a little bit, and we'll speed up the process from here. Okay, so there we have it. You have your 4 different zones, station 1 being yellow, station 2 being brown, station 3 being green, station 4 being blue. And then we have our white common wire that's going to go to the common, all right? Your setup might be different, but the gist is the same. It's going to be all the same. So then if that's all we had to do, say this was a new clock, we were just wiring it, then all we need to make sure to do, is go back to power on, okay? And then it has power once the sprinkler clock tells it to turn on, and it can go to the stations. Now, on the other end, if we're going to put this to the side now we want to look at how to wire up the valve, okay? So I kind of went ahead and just got this wiring unsheathed. So I just used the wire strippers and did this around it to kind of went around in circles, so that way I can just grab this and hopefully just slide it off like that. It takes a little bit of grip to it, so that way I don't even have to cut down the side, right? And there's your little wire cut if I just wanted to pull it down and open it up like that. Okay, now we have a valve. So say this is one of our valves, this is Hunter PGV, and so what we need to do now with our wiring, and I'm not going to do it exactly, but here it goes. So for each one of the valves, we're going to take one of the strands. So each valve has 2 wires coming from the solenoid. One of the strands is going to go to the common wire. So if we had 4 different valves right here, we would have 4 red wires coming to this white common wire, okay? And then we would obviously just strip this like this, making sure we had enough copper showing. So then this with one of these strands of all the other ones is going to go together with the white one, and then we're going to use a waterproof wire nut. Don't just use a regular one. I don't have one right here, but I'll put a picture of one on the screen so you know what I'm talking about. And they have silicone inside these wire nuts, because the last thing you want around your wires is moisture. That's going to cause them to corrode, and then they're going to stop operating, okay? So one of your red wires of each one of your valves is going to go to the common wire, the white one, okay? The other one is actually going to be the specific one for that zone. So if we wanted this valve to be station number 1, then we could look back here, right, and say, okay, station number 1 is yellow, okay? So as long as we haven't changed things along the lines, then this is going to be the wire that turns on station number 1 on the clock. So then after we've wired up all the common ones, then we come over here, also do the same thing, strip this wire of the insulation and grab the second wire to that valve and use the silicone wire nuts, the waterproof wire nuts, to tie those together like that. So that way that one's all connected, it's waterproof, it's not going to corrode with moisture that's going to be in that sprinkler box. Okay, so this one would be to the common wire, this one's to the specific zone color that we want. And then whenever we turn on the clock, whenever station 1's going to come on, it's going to turn on this specific one. And we continue and just continue that process for all the other zones that we might have to be able to get, and if you're not using a certain color, then I like to just push it back so I'm not confused on which ones I'm using, which one I'm not. So then we'll know going forward that brown again is going to be station number 2, green 3, and blue is 4. Okay, so that way if we want them to be in a certain sequence, then we can wire these up accordingly. Okay, so that is how you choose and pick your sprinkler wire of how many strands you need. Just remember that you might want some extra strands in there, so just think about that. So that way you could possibly add another sprinkler zone or a flower bed or planter or garden without having to dig up all this wire again and redo it all, or run a separate wire to that. So it's just easier, not that much more, just to buy one that has a few extra wires that you can have on hand in case you add another zone or water feature or something that needs another station. All right, so just remember that. Remember that the white wire is going to go to your common, wherever that is on your sprinkler clock, and then you have this 1, 2, 3, and 4, and with this one you can add multiple modules up to 13 stations. Okay, each clock is going to be a little different, but pay attention to that. The general idea is the same. White for common, all the different colors going to the different valve stations, and then out to your specific valve that you need. So hope that helps. Leave a comment below and let us know if this helped you, or if you have any other questions relating to sprinkler wiring, and we hope to see you in the next one. Okay, take care. That's all about sprinkler wiring. We'll see you later.